Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to From the Tips, the GolfMagic Podcast. And just a quick one up front, if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or watching us on the GolfMagic YouTube channel, please do leave us a review or drop us a comment and subscribe if you like us, obviously. It makes a massive difference and allows people to find us and helps all the various algorithms. If you don't like us, just don't say anything really, or just leave a good review either way. Anyway, my name is Harry Benjamin. Alongside me is GolfMagic editor Andy Roberts and PGA Tour writer Matt Chivers. And on the show today, a recap of both the Hero Cup and the Sony Open. Also, we mentioned it last week, but confirmation now from Netflix that the new PGA Tour docu-series is imminent. We have a date, and we've got a DP World Tour player on the show, and the guys will be giving you their tips ahead of the Abu Dhabi Championship and the American Express. All that and more on the show today. The recording day is Monday, the 16th of January, 2023. I got that right this time, so we started off well. And let's look back, shall we, at the Hero Cup and start with that as well as the Sony Open. And I mean, Matt, I think you were the closest with your picks, with continental Europe in that aspect. So you got a point from the picks, top for tips even from last year. But what did you make of the action over the weekend?
I thought it was good. I thought it was a lot of partnerships developed. I thought some European players and some sort of British players emerged. I thought Nicolas Højgaard was excellent. I thought Guido Migliozzi was excellent. I thought Victor Perez was excellent. I managed to pick the winner. I didn't pick the top point scorer, but Adrian Meronk did hold the winning putt against Callum
That doesn't get you
so
a point, I'm afraid.
So at least had that. But no, I think it is definitely a productive week for Luke Donald and the team, especially not just for the players, but for Tommy Fleetwood and Francesco Molinari as well, because I assume they're going to be Ryder Cup captains one day. You'd like to think so. They had a bit of taste of leadership. I thought it was nice to see, although he wasn't in the original team, but Nicolas Højgaard took his chance and he sort of got 3.5 points. He was unbeaten, as was Molinari, which was. I'd say that was a surprise because he's not really been the same since sort of around 2018, 2019, has he? He's not been sort of the same player, the same solid sort of presence on the PGA Tour. So he'll be obviously hoping for a big year to play in the Ryder Cup in his home country. But I thought it was a productive week. Bob McIntyre was really good. He earned 3 points, I think. So that will boost his claims, even if he wasn't to qualify automatically. This is the sort of week that Luke Donald would look back on and think I can rely on him to perform in the match play format. He's a pretty passionate player, Bob McIntyre. He backs himself, I think, and he won the Italian Open at the end of 2022. So that's the sort of week that players like I think McIntyre and Højgaard and Migliozzi that will be in the back of Luke Donald's mind going into September. I think that was the object. So I thought it was a pretty good week. There wasn't many fans there, I don't think, but I think that's the thing you sacrifice with these events in like Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Saudi Arabia. I don't think there's not really an abundance of fans at these events. But all in all, I thought it was productive for Luke Donald. I'm sure he's taken away a lot of thoughts. And again, I think it was productive for Molinari and Fleetwood as well, because I think one day they'll be Ryder Cup captains. And Fleetwood had a good week as well. He got a couple of points. A better week than Shane Lowry, who didn't get any points, which was a bit of a shock. Maybe he's still a bit rusty, but I enjoyed watching the coverage. I enjoyed watching the golf, and it was nice to see a few more players who wouldn't usually be involved in these team events, sort of get a chance to impress Luke Donald.
Absolutely, but conversely, Andy, if we have a quick look as well at the Sony Open. You were so close, but you got the wrong Kim. That it was Siwoo Kim superbly chipped it on the 17th hole and hit a stunning fairway bunker shot on the 18th hole and on his way to a fourth PGA Tour victory. So there was so much action over the weekend, really.
There was, and I do apologise. A bad week of tips. As I said, got the surname right, but no, I went for Tom Kim, who unfortunately missed the cut. quite surprised. He did start well on the first round. I think he was a couple under for the first few holes, and I thought, oh, here we go. Then just really dropped off the pace. I think he was almost second last in putting, which was unlike him. So probably just a rare week with him. Sung Jae In, my other tip, also missed the cut. Matt had Russell Henley. I think that was our best of the bunch. I think he just finished outside the top 30. So it wasn't really a week for favourites at the Sony Open. Another tournament favourite, Jordan Spieth, led after day one, then went on to miss the cut, incredibly. I think that's only the second time in 4 years on tour where that's happened, where the 18-hole leader has ended up missing the cut the next day. But no, as you allude to there, Harry, another great finish on tour. It's back-to-back weeks in Hawaii. So PGA Tour's off to a flying start. It came down to a shootout between Siwoo Kim and Hayden Buckley. Buckley held a 16-footer on 16 to go one ahead, and within about 10 seconds, Siwoo Kim chipped in on 17 from the back of the green. Tough par three, that fantastic chip in, gave it large. He then hit an incredible fairway wood from the bunker just outside of 200 yards, straight onto the green on the last. Two putted for the win, and Buckley couldn't get up and down, just short of the green. Missed about 11-foot putt. He was going for his first win, so it's a shame for him. But for Siwoo Kim, that's now his fourth win on tour. Slowly going under the radar. This is a former Players Champion. He's a serious talent. It was his first win since the American Express in 2021, which is the event that's being staged this week. So he'll probably fancy his chances again. But no, a brilliant week on tour, and we're off to a really good start.
We certainly are. And also, we mentioned it last week in the show. You say what a great start it has been for the PGA Tour. One of the biggest storylines outside of the actual playing action from the week just gone has been that the new Netflix docu-series that follows the PGA Tour, Full Swing, trailer has been released. It's going to be on Netflix on the 15th of February. It looks awesome. And we said this last time, didn't we? That pretty much every sort of mainstream sport, and even the not so mainstream ones, are doing a sort of Netflix style. I hate to say it, they're all copying F1's Drive to Survive, really, but why wouldn't you? Because the success has been absolutely fantastic in engaging new fans and bringing in a whole new fan base and just making sport more appealable. Matt, let's come to you on this first. What did you make of the trailer? Are you excited for Full Swing? What do you think it's going to do for not just people enjoying the PGA Tour, but the world of golf itself?
No, I honestly can't wait for it. I mean, it's not... I think things like this, they're not really for... I mean, they are sort of for us, sort of golf fans, but I think sports need... What any sport needs to do, whether it be F1, football, boxing, horse racing, whatever it is, it needs to sort of cross over into the mainstream where these players become sort of household names, and this is a really good chance for that to happen. And I think that's what's happened with F1. More people know who Lewis Hamilton is, Max Verstappen, all Carlos Sainz. People are more aware of these sports or these athletes that they wouldn't have been in the past. So I think that's going to be the best thing out of it. It needs to help golf cross into the mainstream. I thought the trailer was really exciting. A good list of players that are involved, and it sort of teased that McIlroy wasn't going to be involved until the end of the trailer. But I think we all knew we all knew anyway he was going to be involved. But yeah, it's I think it's couldn't have better timing. As Poulter alludes to in the trailer, it can have better timing just because of what's happened in golf in the last 12 months. That's the obvious sort of elephant in the room. Apparently something happens in episode 2 which can compare to The Last Dance when Michael Jordan goes, and I took that personally. I think it's apparently in episode 2 something like that happens. I think Chad Mumm from whatever studio, I think it's Vox Media, he tweeted that there's a special sort of moment in episode 2 that's going to happen. So keep your eye out for that. But yeah, that's I think, like I said, I think it's going to help golfers cross over into the mainstream and become household names in America, in the UK. And it looks like it's going to be really well produced as well by the looks of the trailer. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I hope it needs to spread into non-golf fans. I think that's the key thing with me with it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think it's quite nice that the world of golf's in agreement over something. You know, we've had a year of controversy, but I think whether you're a fan of PGA Tour, LIV Golf, whether you just play golf, whether you have no interest in golf, I think everyone is probably going to come together and give this one a chance. That's what I'm hoping. You know, I never particularly was that interested in basketball. I gave, you know, one of my friends messaged me, he said, "Oh, have you seen Last Dance?" I said, "With Michael Jordan?" I said, "No." Watched it, thought it was brilliant, you know, and I've watched a few NBA games off the back of that. I'll be honest, Harry, I've never been a massive Formula One fan. I do apologise, but I gave Drive to Survive a chance, and I've certainly watched a few races off the back of that. Like you say, it becomes a bit more personable. You know, sort of some of the leading characters. So maybe I'm biased, but I just hope Full Swing has the same impact, and we can just bring a new fan base, a new following into our sport, whether that's drawing them in to follow PGA Tour, or whether that's hopefully getting to pick up a golf club and head down the driving range, or whatever it is. But like Matt says there, you know, it's for a lot of us, we obviously know the storylines. For avid golf fans, we're not going to be sat there watching it going, when did that happen? Like, we know the ebbs and flows of last year, but it's going to be great to see behind the scenes. And I think in one clip in the trailer, you see Poulter smashing up a locker room, which could be quite interesting. And then obviously, you know, as a spoiler alert, obviously, you know, some of the guys featured there did end up going to LIV Golf, so we're going to see all of that. But for a neutral who has no idea what happened, you know, that's going to be quite exciting, I would have thought, to see, you know, what did happen in June last year. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Popcorn at the ready, February 15, can't wait.
People love the drama, don't they? But
Absolutely,
and also
yeah.
all new fans welcome to listen and watch the GolfMagic podcast as well. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But it is interesting, you know, you both said it's obviously these kind of shows aren't really aimed at the people who are already interested in golf and are following the world of golf, not to mention those who are obviously working in it like you two. And I felt the same with the Formula One Drive to Survive, but I was still able to enjoy it, even though some parts of it were dramatized, didn't quite follow sort of the actual chronological order of how things unfolded. It wasn't quite as it was a bit more, it was actually probably a bit more black and white at times than what Netflix painted it out to be. And I imagine, because it's the same producers, it's Box to Box Films that did Drive to Survive, and they're also doing Full Swing, so I imagine it's going to be in the same light. But do you think that there could be a bit of a negative impact as well because of the people already within golf? Do you think there's, I keep saying this, using the F1 example, but there was such an old guard that almost didn't want anybody else to come in. They didn't want the young people in. Do you think it's similar in the world of golf at the moment?
I don't know. I think golf needs to adapt, doesn't it? We need to grow the game in some form. And look, we're all trying to grow the game. You know, us at GolfMagic, we're trying to grow the game. Everyone in the golf industry is trying to do their bit. And I just hope something as massive as this is just gonna invite people into the sport. And we've got to move with the times. Essentially, golf's, for some, it's a very an elitist sport. We need to change that. We need to push forward. And as I say, I just hope something like this can really do it on the big scale. Bring a new fan base, bring a new following in. We're certainly all, you know, that's where I think golf needs to go. But yeah, Matt, what do you reckon?
No, I thought it was an interesting point you brought up there, Harry. I suppose it is an entertainment series as much as a documentary, isn't it? So they need to sort of dramatise things and build things up. Maybe if they do seem a bit black and white and a bit sort of a bit insignificant. And I sort of I think stuff like a docu-series is sort of, it might be aimed at a younger audience, so maybe sort of older traditional generation of golfers and golf journalists maybe might not enjoy it, but I imagine they will. But I reckon, to your point there, I think they probably are less likely. I think it will be aimed at a young audience. The drama, the music, the sort of, well, golf anyway is just dominated by young players as well. I suppose Poulter's going to be involved. He's a bit of a more experienced player, and Dustin Johnson's approaching sort of 40 years old now as well. He's going to be involved in it as well. But golf is dominated by young players. So I suppose the series is going to be aimed at a younger demographic. which it probably should be, to be fair. So, yeah, I thought you made quite an interesting point there about the insignificant stuff and how it gets over dramatised. But I think that's just entertainment, isn't it? And hopefully, hopefully it's not just young golfers that get involved and watch it. It'll be just sort of young people in general, because that's who these players are going to relate to, I think.
I think it's going to be good to see these players outside the ropes as well, because we don't really see that. You know, when we watch tour coverage, they're literally inside the ropes. We see them for 18 holes. They do their interview, and then that's it. We don't see them till tomorrow. But to see what happens when they've maybe had a bad round, like Poulter smashing up the locker room or whatever it is, go back home and sulking after a 75 or whatever, or they've just shot the lowest round of their life and they're partying back at home or whatever it is, to just see the bit more personable approach to the game. I think that's just going to be really, really good for us golfers as well, who know these guys what we think fairly well. Just to see what goes on behind the scenes is going to be great. As I say, I can't wait for it, and I think it's very needed in the sport. Looking at what everyone else is doing at the minute, I think golf's needed it, and hopefully we can take it forward.
For sure. I'm very excited for it. Go on, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say, just in terms of just behind the scenes, how they travel to events, how they prepare for events, how they deal with not seeing their families perhaps for weeks on end. I suppose I think that's the sort of things that some golf fans have been crying out for, a bit more of a behind the scenes look at stuff. Maybe how the PGA Tour could improve its product is by doing that sort of thing. So I think that's why I think fans always want to look behind the curtain at sport, and behind the curtain at anything. We all want inside information. We all want to know something else. We're always wanting something else. And I think that's what these Netflix docu-series sort of provide, is like a look behind the curtain, and that's what appeals to fans so much.
Everyone wants to get that little bit closer to sport, don't they? Or as close as they can. So I think even though again with the Drive to Survive, there was some drawbacks. The overwhelming feeling was this is great for the sport in general. It's great for the people involved, and I think the same thing will happen with golf too. Although in the F1, people didn't realise that some of the commentary that gets overlaid is not actually wasn't the actual real live commentary at the time. It's scripted. So
so I noticed that. I noticed that with some of the Amazon ones as well. The Spurs Amazon documentary, and it's obvious that those lines aren't, so that's how it's so heavy. The line's
almost a little bit too good and too perfectly well timed. So don't be surprised if you hear a little bit of that in full swing. But February 15th is when that comes out, so I'm sure we'll be talking about that even more as each episode goes by. But one of the players to feature in the Netflix series, you mentioned it, Andy, Ian Poulter, getting very aggressive at one point, but certainly looking like he was up to be in that series, who has now moved over to LIV Golf. He has been fuming recently with the Ryder Cup Europe Twitter account. Now, this seems a little bit petty, if I'm honest, earlier in the week, after he and Sergio Garcia, also now gone to LIV Golf as well, didn't receive happy birthday messages, as usually occurs for Ryder Cup heroes. Do you think there's a bit of an overreaction, or do you think there's something sort of in this?
I mean, maybe that's why he was launching a club in the locker room. Maybe PGA Tour forgot to, maybe this was last January.
They didn't wish me happy birthday.
Honestly, I don't know about you. The first thing I thought of when I saw the tweet was Yaya Toure when he kicked off at Man City when he didn't get given a birthday cake in, I think, 2014. So to summarise, Garcia's birthday was January 9. Poulter's birthday January 10. Garcia, obviously one of the Europe's, he is the all-time point scorer. Poulter, arguably one of the best European match players of all time. Ryder Cup Europe often send a birthday tweet out to some of their best players down the years. But there was nothing for Poulter or Garcia. So Poulter's tweeted, I think he left a tweet off the back of that Molinari video where he was playing a flop shot and Poulter was like, hello, it's my birthday. I thought it was quite funny that I think Jamie Weir of Sky Sports pointed it out. I think 16 minutes after Poulter's tweet, LIV Golf, where Poulter is now, they realised, shit, we haven't sent him a birthday message. So LIV Golf have quickly said, join us in wishing Poulter a happy birthday. So I thought that was good. But look, it just seems a bit of a case of, like you said, they're petty, isn't it? It's just pettiness. I think even used the hashtag for Keith Pelly last week. Got petty petty Pelly or whatever. It's just like, Pulse, just leave it alone. He knew the consequences of what could happen with the Ryder Cup by going to LIV Golf. It's not completely dead in the water yet. They could find a way into that European Ryder Cup team come the end of the year, but I genuinely can't see it. I don't think Luke Donald's going to want any animosity in that team room. You look at what we tried to achieve last week at the Hero Cup, trying to build partnerships, trying to get that. We need that team room buzzing. And, if you've got players in that team room, like Shane Lowry, who've spoken out against LIV Golf, Rory and Sergio's relationships clearly not there anymore, used to be best friends. Apparently they don't even talk anymore. I just don't see how LIV Golf's going to have any involvement with Ryder Cup. And that's essentially why Ryder Cup are not wishing him birthday anymore, because he took his money, he's gone to LIV Golf. Unfortunately, you can't, as going back to Yaya Toure, you can't have your cake and eat it, Pulse, essentially. That's exactly what he's done. Look at, Stenson was Ryder Cup captain, went to LIV Golf, got sacked. Ryder Cup are not messing around. You're either with us or you're not, and that's essentially where we are. And I still find it quite. I said to the guys the other week, I still find it quite amazing that if Poulter genuinely believes he could get in this Ryder Cup team, and genuinely believes that the Ryder Cup, he's still got it at, was he 47 now? Why did he not go to LIV Golf next year? Why would he risk missing out on Ryder Cup? What a way to go out with a bang in your Ryder Cup career. Go and win the Ryder Cup back for Europe on home soil. Go and do that, then go to LIV Golf. LIV Golf are desperate for players at the minute. I'm sure the door would have still been open for Poulter next year. So he's risked an opportunity of maybe never playing in the Ryder Cup, maybe never captaining the Ryder Cup team again. And I think it's a shame.
Yeah, Matt, do you agree?
Yeah, well, I think obviously the crying over no birthday message is a bit pathetic, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter that much, does it, if you don't get a message from a Twitter account? But I think the frustration, I think the tweet came from an overall frustration from Poulter that the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, with their with content they post and with some video content they post as well, they are starting to erase LIV golfers from history to a certain extent. For example, at the Century Tournament of Champions 2 weeks ago now, they posted a video of the top 10 shots ever from that event, and Dustin Johnson hit an incredible drive on the par 4 to a few feet, I think, and then Bubba Watson hit an incredible shot on the 18th one year with a driver off the deck, and those two shots aren't included. So you can just sort of, and that's happened a couple of times, and especially with the DP World Tour as well. I think this, although it is insignificant, not wishing someone happy birthday, but I think it does represent another example of how the tours are, the DP and the PGA are sort of beginning to sort of erase memories of LIV golfers, and I think that is sad. I think that's petty. But I think I alluded to it last week. It's just a bit of a playground now. The back and forth between the tours. Poulter did know that he'd risk Ryder Cup participation in 2023 and to be a captain in the future. But I think this.
Does he really need the money though? Did he really need to go this year? I just think with the Ryder Cup there on home soil, what a way to go out in your Ryder Cup career. Why would you even bother risking it?
Yeah,
just be part of it. Go next year. The door will always be open for LIV Golf.
Yeah, he did know the risk, and he did know the risk, obviously. And I suppose if he plays 14 times this year, to be fair, I think if you play good golf, you play good golf, and if you can qualify, I think you should be able to qualify. If we're onto this subject now, if he plays really well this year on LIV Golf and plays in a few majors, that'll be 16 times that he's played this year. And same goes with Sergio. If they actually play good golf, I know they're in limited field events, but if they shoot in good scores, it doesn't matter really who you're playing against. So if they play good golf, then I think they probably should be able to qualify for the team. I mean, I suppose they should be afterthoughts anyway. I can't see any LIV golfers, other than maybe Chakara. I can't see any LIV golfers qualifying for the European team anyway, unless Garcia has a good year. But yeah, just
Casey,
I think
maybe.
Yeah, Casey maybe, but I think the original point with Poulter's tweet, it is pathetic. Who cares that you don't get a birthday message? But I think it's out of the frustration that the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour might be beginning to just erase them from history when they have created so many sort of great moments down the years.
Yeah, well, it certainly seems that way, doesn't it? I think if we've learned anything, always message Ian Poulter happy birthday. Don't do that or you'll never hear the end of it. Let's move on, though, because I want to talk about Shane Lowry, who revealed last week that he thinks Europe has the best two players in the world in Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm right now. Officially, it's McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler, according to the rankings. But we all know the thoughts on the rankings. And Andy, you had some thoughts on the rankings last week as well. I mean, do you agree? I mean, what about you? You could name Cameron Smith as another option as well. What do you think?
Shane Lowry's absolutely bang on. It's a no-brainer for me. Rory McIlroy is best player in the world. Consistency showed towards the back end of last year was better than anyone by a mile. To see out a record third FedEx Cup title, fourth race to Dubai series. You could argue right now, Jon Rahm is displaying probably the best golf. 3 wins in his last 5 starts. He's playing again this week. See how he gets on there. But for me, those 2 guys are by far and above the best 2 players in the world. I don't know what Scottie Scheffler's doing at world number 2 right now. Don't get me wrong, he's an incredible player. There's no way he's in the top 2, though. There's no way he's better than Jon Rahm or McIlroy in my eyes. Cameron Smith, we haven't seen in about 6 months. I'm joking. It's 2-3 months since he last played a tournament. Look, Smith played great last year to win the Open, won the Players as well. But if you look at the rest of his results, he didn't display anywhere near the consistency of McIlroy. There's tournaments where he's finishing outside the top 20, outside the top 30. Even on LIV Golf, where he's only got to play against 47 other players. For me, Rory 1, Rahm 2, Smith 3. Happy with that. Scheffler probably should be 4th or 5th in the world for me. My thoughts on Dustin Johnson being outside the top 40. I mean, that's just crazy, but that's just obviously since he's been on LIV Golf since last June. For me, Dustin's a top 5 player in the world still. But look, we'll get to see the real test at the Masters in April when they all get thrown into the ring together. Can't wait for that. And then we'll see. But we all know my thoughts on who's going to win the Masters. So
you dug yourself that hole last week.
You have to agree with Lowry, wouldn't you? I think, just because Rory had the impressive year last year, he won the FedEx Cup, and then I think the rankings are the rankings, aren't they? I think we can talk about it until we're blue in the face, and all the players can as well. Jon Rahm obviously shouldn't be 5th. He should be a bit higher than that. He's had 3 wins in his last sort of 5 starts. You can't say. I think Cameron Smith is held there in 3rd because of his Open win, but you can't really say he's a top 3 or even a top 5 player really. He's been playing in unranked limited field events. So in terms of being a top 5 player, he probably is a top 5 player in the world just for how good he is. If you take away their form and how good they are, he probably is a top 5, top 4, top 3 player. But it's got to go on the tournaments they've played and the form they've shown. And I think obviously McIlroy is a rightful number 1. But you've got Patrick Cantlay, who I think is rightfully in 4th. He probably should be above Cameron Smith in my eyes. He's incredibly consistent. We've got what you're going to get from Cantlay. He's notched up quite a few wins now. So I think he'd be in the conversation for the top 2 or 3. But I think Lowry sums it up pretty perfectly. It wasn't exactly a groundbreaking statement because Jon Rahm's in unreal form, and then McIlroy cementing himself there. But it's a good healthy top. It's a good healthy top 5, top 10. I think we're going to see a lot of wins from all of them during the year. I could see the top spot being chopped and changed quite a bit in 2023.
I know exactly why Shane Lowry's made that comment though. Right now, I mean, he clearly is so against LIV Golf, and it's because of Greg Norman's comment. Greg Norman's comment, what was it, 3-4 months ago? He said Cameron Smith, DJ are the best two players in the world. And this was, even when McIlroy was playing well at that time.
Yeah.
So he's just throwing a little, just another one out there. Some of these guys are not afraid to speak up and just throw little nuggets in now and again. But no, I think absolutely bang on. I think Europe do have the best two players in the world, and I'm becoming a little bit more confident, shall we say, whereas I was last year when looking ahead to the Ryder Cup. I'm getting a little bit more. Maybe we do have a little sniff against the Americans this September, but obviously a lot can happen. A lot can happen in 9 months, but home soil, the fans, players coming into form. Let's see.
I'd agree.
We've got 9 months to speculate about that.
I think by September, I think people like we sort of hear a couple of people like Hogard and Perez and Miglosi can only get better. And I don't think America, they won the President's Cup and it was inevitable they were going to win it in the end, despite a little sort of Sunday
little hiccup.
There was a bit of promise. There was a bit of promise from the internationals, but they weren't. I don't think they were that impressive. And I honestly think DJ is a bit of a miss for America. He got maximum points in 2021, so I think he's a bit of a miss. I think he's a bit of a miss for them. I know he's only.
And you think Bryson and Brooks, not
not
really in form at the minute, are they? So.
Yeah, I think they have lost key players, but they've still got a lot of depth. Obviously, America.
Of course, yeah,
and they're going to have a really, really strong team. But I wouldn't be that concerned at the minute. They are favourites, obviously, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be a pasting, especially on home soil. That they haven't won a Ryder Cup on a European soil for about 30 years. So, I think with Rahm and McIlroy, I mean, they're going to have to perform better than they did, especially McIlroy, because he was in tears at the end, not only because Europe lost, but probably because he had such a bad week. So on home soil, I think he feeds off that, and I think the rest of them will. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they won the Ryder Cup Europe, just because they feed off energy, they feed off.
Is that a prediction?
Sort of togetherness.
That's his bold prediction for the year. I had mine last week. Yeah,
well, again, we like predicting these things that are 50-50 outcomes, don't we? So it's either one or the other, isn't it?
Exactly. We'll clip that one up. Perfect. Come back to it at the end of the year. I think it's clear though that Netflix talk about them. They don't need to add any kind of drama or emotion to the world of golf. It's already there from the politics and the messages that are being put out into the media landscape. But it is now time for our special guest. And this week we are welcoming a DP World Tour pro. It is rookie year, John Murphy. John, well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time out to speak to us. Only our second ever guest, so you're up there with one of the originals of the GolfMagic podcast. And we've actually just been having a discussion as to who the best two players in the world right now are. Do you agree with your fellow Irishman Shane Lowry that it is Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm?
Yeah, I think that's hard to argue as of right now. Just going off, obviously the start of last year, it looked like Scotty Scheffler was going to be in that conversation for a long time, and he still is. But I think, given both of their form the last 6 months, it's hard to argue with either of those. I mean, you could argue either one of them is the number one player in the world right now. I think Jon Rahm seems to think of himself, which is hard to argue with. But I suppose Rory as well hasn't played enough in the last few months to establish whether or not he's better than John or not. So yeah, I'd certainly agree that they're the 1-2 combination right now.
Oh, John, it's Matt. Great to talk to you again.
Hey Matt, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. So in terms of your season so far, you've played 4 events and you have missed 4 cuts. But in those 4 events, what would you say you've learned so far in your sort of first season?
Yeah, I suppose I think towards the end of the year there, I went straight from Q school, went down and played 4 events down in South Africa. I was grateful to have the opportunity to do so. I was ready to go down to Australia and play down there with the category that I had, but I got given the opportunity to play in South Africa. And I think just anytime you tee it up on the DP World Tour, it's a great opportunity to learn and to adapt. And I think having that experience going into next year, it won't feel like everything's fresh anymore. I feel like I have that bit of experience behind me, and I think I've played enough DP World Tour before. You know, I played a few invites last year and this year, and I think I've played enough now to know that the standard increments aren't that big in professional golf between tours. And I think if you can play well wherever you are, then you'll be up close to the top of the leaderboard. So I think now it's a matter of me playing well, and I don't think, you know, I think the only difference between Challenge and DP World Tour might be that the cuts are tougher to make. There's more people make the cut.
Okay.
I think the depth is just a little bit more. But I think the standard up towards the top of the leaderboards isn't too dissimilar on both, to be honest, is one thing I've found so far. So it's just good to keep playing and learning more about both tours as I go in.
Hi John, it's Andy. John, Justin Rose, I remember in '98 after he turned pro after the Open. I think that was the year you were born. Can you take inspiration from someone like that and his story? I think he missed the first 21 cuts on the DP World Tour. Obviously went on to become world number 1, won the FedEx, US Open, Olympic gold medal. Yeah, can you take inspiration from a story like that, you know, all right, it might be a tough start for you on tour, but, you know, it's just the start sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just 17 more to go and I can match his record. So I'll kickstart then. But no, absolutely. I mean, I've made that example to a lot of people who have turned pro and perhaps struggled out the blocks. You know, Justin Rose was obviously an incredible amateur. I think a common trap to fall into when you turn professional is that a lot of people try to change things, and a lot of people try to I suppose adapt and think, oh, I'm a professional now, I need to do this better or that better. But I think if you have established yourself as an elite amateur, I think, you know, there's a good chance that you're good enough with what you have, and just learning off what you have and continuing to, I suppose, grow what you've already learned in the game is very important. And that's certainly a mantra I've tried to take into the professional game.
Yeah, I suppose, John, you're no stranger to the DP World Tour, are you? Despite, you know, you've only just got your first sort of full card, but you're no stranger to it. You've played in DP World Tour events before. For this sort of, for 2023, do you have any sort of set goals? Do you want to make a certain amount of top 10s, or do you want to get a win, or do you have any targets in mind?
Yeah, I think before, you know, when I was an amateur, I think I kind of learned from my mistakes in the sense that there was a Walker Cup here in 2019, and I really wanted to make that Walker Cup team, and I made that my goal for the year. And then I was thinking, right, if I can finish here in British Amateur and here in the St. Andrews Links Trophy and here in whatever, you know, and that really took away from what I was trying to achieve at the time, and the processes and focuses that I was, I suppose, focused on at the start kind of started to be a bit separated from what I was working on. So I think just I think just being as present as possible, as cliche as it sounds, I know it's not what you want to hear in a podcast, but I think just being as present and I suppose willing to try and get better every day as possible will be important for me this year. And wherever that leaves me at the end of the year, you know, we'll take it from there.
John, just throwing it back to last year and those 6 grueling rounds at DP World Tour qualifying in Spain. How proud were you to come through that, but particularly in the final round? I think you had your lowest score in that round, didn't you, to come through just on the number? Yeah.
And, you know, especially it was a year, all this year, there was I was trying to, I suppose, work my way around Sundays. I wasn't playing well on Sundays, and I was trying to find different ways to perform on the last day of a tournament. I found myself, you know, going into the top 10 going into the last round, and slipped down to 30th or whatever quite a number of times. So that was certainly something I struggled with. But so that made it that more satisfying that I was able to do the opposite and what was the most important event of the year for me. And I think I was, I don't know, maybe 35th or 40th heading into that last round. So to be able to climb up into the top 25 was extremely satisfying, and a day I won't be forgetting in a hurry.
Absolutely. So what's your 2023 sort of upcoming schedule looking like on the DP World Tour? I think you're relying on a couple of players dropping out this week, am I right, in order to make it to the Abu Dhabi HSBC champs?
Yeah, so I don't think I won't get into the first 2, I don't think, because you have a lot of high profile names coming to them, and they're obviously tough to get into. So that's the thing, is that there hasn't been a challenge tour category in a few years. So it's hard to relate and say, right, well, you know, this challenge or this player got into this many events off his category last year, because there hasn't been one. So it's really hard to kind of compare and contrast to the last couple of years. So yeah, as I said, for now, I'm just kind of trying to control what I can control. You know, I'm putting in some good work back home now with my coach. I'm I'm heading out to Dubai tomorrow to do a bit of practice and just stay ready for when the next opportunity arises. And I suppose just looking forward to trying to tee it up as much as I can in the DP World Tour this year.
Brilliant. John, Irish golf is absolutely flying at the minute, obviously with Rory, Shane, Seamus Power, all etching their name on silverware at the minute. Which of your Irish compatriots would you say you look up to most on tour?
My hero growing up and my first, I suppose, golfing memory was always Padraig Harrington. I've pictures at home of me dressed up as him at fancy dress parties, and I remember the 2006 was my first real golf, or the 2006 Ryder Cup was my first real golfing memory, where Padraig led the team out. I think he played at Monty in that first match, and then I obviously remember him winning the 2 Opens and the PGA. So they were, I suppose that was a big part of the reason why I was motivated to play golf and wanted to play golf, was seeing him. And he was really inspiring for younger generations, and he still is. I mean, seeing what he's doing even to this day is pretty inspiring. So he was always my my go-to sporting hero. But you can't knock the work that Rory, Shane and Seamus are doing for Irish golf at the minute. It's incredible to see. And I was lucky enough to get to spend some time with Seamus last year and to see, I suppose, how they go about things. And just really, I suppose, a lot of positives to take from where they're at the moment in the golfing world.
Brilliant.
John, you've mentioned Padraig Harrington there. He's obviously a 3-time major champion, also a bit of a Ryder Cup stalwart for Europe as well. We've got the Irish Ryder Cup in 4 years' time at Adair Manor. I think last time we spoke, you said that you're sort of achieving your dreams one by one in terms of getting your card and things like that. So in 4 years' time, is that going to be like a dream or a long-term target for you to try and qualify for that side?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm 24 now. It'd be, I suppose by the time that comes around, I'll be 28. I'd like to think that I'll have learned and developed and grown a lot by then. It's obviously a huge task ahead to get to. I mean, if you want to be playing a Ryder Cup, you have to be probably a top 30, 40 player in the world. Yeah. So, I've a lot of work to do, a lot of ground to cover between now and then, and just going to try and do everything I can in my power to make it. And if I don't make it, it certainly won't be for lack of effort. I'll put it that way. So really, I suppose I was just excited by the prospect that that's even within the realms of possibility at the moment. And never would I have. It was obviously always a dream of mine, but never did I actually put it down as something that was attainable or achievable. So, certainly I feel as though I'm good enough to be able to do it. So it's just a matter of finding ways to keep getting better and keep improving every day. And looking forward to that task.
Yeah, on subject of Adair Manor, you had a great week last year at the JP McManus Pro-Am. Take us back to that week and sort of explain why it was so special for you to play that event.
Yeah, obviously, you have the whole Tiger element of it. It was my first time playing the same tournament as Tiger, and that was special. Just getting to see him and getting to, I suppose, just spend time around. I think there was 14 of the top 15 in the world there at the time, and there was only 40 or so pros playing in it. So it was a huge honor to be there side by side with them, and to I suppose have all the luxuries of the week that came with it. We were treated incredibly well there. We were. Just to spend so much time with so many golfing icons, and just I suppose icons of the celebrity world, for lack of a better word. There was a lot of high profile names there, and just to be able to I suppose the one thing that struck me was, it was just so weird. Westlife would have always been playing on the radio growing up, and I remember just at one point looking up and Tiger was at the table just to my right, looking at Westlife playing on the stage ahead of me, and I was like, how have I found myself in this situation? But there was just so many unique and cool things happened that week, and certainly an experience I'll cherish forever.
Brilliant. John, the world of golf is a pretty mad one right now. What have you made of the emergence of LIV Golf as a direct threat to the PGA Tour and DP World Tour? Do you think has it been good, or has it been bad for golf?
Yeah, I think the initial reaction for everybody was just to, I suppose, defect it and be like, no, that's not going to be good for golf. But there's certainly some things about it that have, I suppose, hampered. It's probably ruined a few relationships and stuff like that out on tour, and it's certainly led to some bad blood, I think. But at the same time, there's more money for more people within the game of golf. There's more opportunities. You see the likes of Eugenio Shikara, who I would have played a bit with in college, who's gone out and won. He won a LIV event last year, and all of a sudden that's him set up for life there off the back of one event. So certainly led to some good opportunities for people. And I think, as I said, the initial reaction for everybody was just to instinctively think that it was going to be bad for the game of golf. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't given the opportunity to go, so I don't know what the answer would have been. I don't think you can firmly say unless there's 120 million put in front of you, and I'd say that's pretty hard to turn down. But no, I'm certainly very happy with the position I'm in. I'm happy with the opportunities that the tour have given me to play off invites the first couple of years, and I'm very comfortable with my position right now.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, John, look, it's been brilliant to chat with you and get to know a little bit more about you and your 2023 and what it might look like. We're going to finish off, though, with some quick fire questions, which we also asked you and Ferguson last week, and we're going to ask them to every guest we get. So question 1, who is your golfing best friend?
Oh, God. I'm going to lose some friends over this. My golfing best friend, like, they have to be professional?
Yes.
Okay, the 2 lads I went to college with, one was Hugh O'Hare, the other was Devin Morley. Devin's the only professional, so I'm gonna have to say him.
Okay, there you go. That gets you out of pissing anybody off.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, clearly golf is a massive talent for you, but do you have any hidden talents?
I'm incredible at catching food in my mouth.
Really?
Wow. You can throw a grape as high as you want to into the air and I'll catch it.
Wow.
No
Does it have to be sort of small objects, or could someone chuck something quite big and you'll still be able to catch it?
I mean, a watermelon.
Yeah. A watermelon,
yeah. Yeah. Any kind of fruit, nut, anything, I'll catch it. Yeah, no problem.
Excellent. We always like to hear a hidden talent. Okay, and final question for you. What would you be doing if you weren't playing professional golf?
I have a degree in marketing, but I don't think I have any interest whatsoever in using it. So I don't know. Maybe teaching or something.
Okay.
Certainly not teaching golf now. Not teaching golf, but yeah. I'm going to go for teaching. Primary school teacher.
Nice. Well, at least the marketing hopefully comes in handy for your own social media. So
exactly.
that should be all right. Well, look, John Murphy, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been brilliant to chat with you on the From the Tips GolfMagic podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks, lads. Thanks very much.
Thanks, John.
Class. Thanks, John. Cheers.
I mean, brilliant for John to take the time out. We've had a good couple of guests to start off the new podcast.
Yeah, we've done well for me. It's good. It's been a good start. It's been a really good start.
It certainly has, and such an insight as well to hear. Obviously you've got the top established talent, but it's so interesting to hear those who are quite literally knocking on the doors and getting their foot in and trying to make their way up the ranks. Yeah. And so I've no doubt John Murphy will have a good year this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed for him. But we're now sort of rapidly towards the end of the show now. And it is time for the tips, please, or your tips, please, Matt and Andy, for, on the DP World Tour, we've got the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. And then on the PGA Tour, we've got the American Express. So shall we get tips for Abu Dhabi first and then American Express? Who's bold? Who wants to go first? Who's got them ready?
Okay. Right, we've got to do better than last week, Matt. We've got to do better than last week. Shall I go first?
Go on,
you go for it.
We haven't discussed tips either. I'm going to pick Tyrrell Hatton to win in Abu Dhabi. Tied 6th last year, won the year before. Won 2 years ago. Took down Rosner 5-4 yesterday in the singles. So like that bit of form. Typically plays well to start the year, so I'll have a bit of Tyrrell Hatton. And I'm also going to pick Tommy Fleetwood, 2-time winner here, one in 2017 and 18. I feel like his game is moving nicely in the right direction. Could be a big year for Tommy Fleetwood. I won the Nedbank back end of last year as well. So I will play 2 Englishmen in Hatton and Fleetwood.
Nice.
Well, annoyingly, I also went with Tyrrell Hatton.
Oh,
okay.
No.
He's 11-1. I thought that was good. I just looked then. He's 11-1, so I thought it was a good price. As you said, he won this event. He probably should have won. He'd be disappointed not to win the DP World Tour Championship at the end of last season. Came tied second. But last season on the DP World Tour, he had top 10s at the Alfred Dunhill and the Italian Open. And he was very consistent on the PGA Tour. I think he probably want a win or a few more top 10s. But he had 11 top 25s on the PGA Tour, which is, that is very, very consistent. So yeah, I'd say Tyrrell Hatton. I think he can get him at 11-1. Might be higher somewhere else. And then I thought Ryan Fox was a very good price at 40-1. A player who came second in the rankings in the end, in DP World Tour rankings in the end last season. He had a cracking year. He won the Alfred Dunhill and the Ras Al Khaimah. He came second at the Nedbank, second at the Irish Open, second at the Dutch Open. So he probably should have had about 3 or 4 wins in 2022, Ryan Fox. But yeah, cracking year. He's probably his best year on tour. And I thought that was cracking value for 40-1. Even if we'll do each way, not on the nose. Yeah, I thought that was a great price. So yeah, I'd be with Tyrrell Hatton as well, and then I'll go with Ryan Fox.
All right, cool. Nice enough. Spreading yourself across there. Fair enough. Let's see if you get any points from that. Okay, back to you, Andy. American Express, please.
American Express, PGA Tour. I mean, it's not really a tip at the minute, but it's Jon Rahm. It's got to be Jon Rahm again. He's for a 4th win in his last 6 starts. It's good vibes here as well. I won this event in 2018. I can't really see past him this week. The way he's playing, I know it's hard to keep winning, but if he wins, will he get off world number 5? You would have thought so. Surely, if he wins this week, surely he'll move up to at least 4th. Yeah, I can't see past him this week. So he would be my main pick. And my second pick, Matt touched on him earlier, and I'm a big fan of Patrick Cantlay. Runner up here in 2021 behind Siwoo Kim. Loves this course. Again, another player I'm expecting big things of this year. He is a major winner in waiting. I think Rahm and Cantlay doubled with Hatton and Fleetwood this week. Feeling very confident.
We'll
see about that. Matt, what you got?
Again, they're going with doubled up. I've gone with Patrick Cantlay as well.
Okay.
He's just Mr. Consistent, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He had 12 top 10s in 20 events last season. He won the BMW, he won the Zurich Classic in New Orleans with Xander Schauffele, and then he comes second 3 times as well. And he came second in this event in 2021. So if you bet on Patrick Cantlay, you would usually get a good run for your money. I don't think I can't find any prices yet as of yet, but I imagine he'll be.
I don't think they're up yet. No,
it'd be about 10-1, I imagine, or 12-1 or whatever. So that would be my main pick. He'll give you a good run for your money, I imagine. He's a brilliant, he's an excellent performer, consistent performer. And then I've got a massive outsider. I assume he would be a massive price. Is Andrew Landry. He won this event he won the event in 2020. He came second in 2018. He didn't have a very good year in 2022 on the PGA Tour. I think he only had a couple of top 10s. But that would be my each way. If you do it on the nose, then you can only blame yourself. Definitely each way. There's no prices yet, I don't think, but you'd have to wait and see. But I think he'd be 50-1 plus.
Price.
So
it'd be big price.
I think at least 50-1. But former winner, come second a few years ago too. So yeah, Cantlay and Andrew Landry for me, Harry.
All right, well, they are all locked in now, so you can't get out of them, and we'll come back to them and see how you did next week. Let us know as well who you're thinking about this weekend in the comments section in YouTube. You can tweet us as well and let us know. We'd love to know who you're backing to. But that is it. Thank you, gents, as always. Thanks to as well to John Murphy for joining us. Make sure you are tuned in the meantime, across GolfMagic.com for all the latest news and analysis across the week. And as I said, we'll be back with you same time next week. Get your questions in, leave them in the comments section or tweet, Instagram, Facebook us. Just search Golf Magic. And a little reminder, please do, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a cheeky rate and review. And again, the same on YouTube as well. Don't forget to just subscribe, all that jazz. And myself, Andy, and Matt will see you next week. Bye-bye.